you gaslighting piece of shit. You keep exaggerating your points on Twitter, and then when you get called out on it, you end up walking it back, being like, oh, I was just exaggerating. Wait, I was just rage baiting.
Then what's wrong with trans femme? What's wrong with trans? Why are those not bad? Oh, look, President Sunday put out a clip chimp of Keffels.
I don't really see the issue here. I'm using it to describe something in a way that's very clear to me, and is commonly used that way among my peers. It's very well known to be that.
Oh, someone bought some sub to him? Oops.
Okay.
I never have.
So, I just, okay.
You found out transmedicalism in October, you said. Your age clearly doesn't bear much help. I get it. You're going to have some experiences I won't have, but you're also capable of being wrong about shit. I've been using the term they fab since 2013, 2012 even. Gross. It's only gross because you are woke scolding me. Explicitly transphobic insults. Wait, is they fab? What does they fab mean? Derogatory term. I didn't even know it was a derogatory. Oops. Yeah, I thought it was just a combination of they and female at birth. Be careful's unsold. Hey, it's not my fault. I thought it was just a fucking term that, like, trans femme and they fab and they mab. I thought that those were just words. I didn't know that they were derogatory. When did those become derogatory?
The actual DMs with Max where you said it was okay and had used it since 2012? Yes, that's when I started, and the last time was 2013. Like, what do you want from me? That is... Shut the fuck up. I'm so sick of how many woke scolds there are who think that they're not woke scolds. This is such ridiculous drama. Yeah, like what Tipster's saying. Like, at several points during that debate, you said you agreed with Carl. I did. I agreed with Carl. The word should not be used in that context. Like, literally the entirety of that debate, I was agreeing. Yeah, you shouldn't use that word to disparage people on the basis of being non-binary. I was saying I understood the context in which it arrived, and that I thought it was weird to basically dog whistle violence against trans people for saying a word that you don't like that was born.
Turf saw it again. Listen, maybe it's because I all of my online friends that are trans are all like trans medicalists. Maybe that's why. Is it the one where I keep on seeing on my let's see, Keffels. There's this one keeps on popping up on my. Oh, it must be this one. Well, maybe we'll watch this one too. Oh man, which one should we do? I just want to vibe. And it went bad enough for her that she privated it and pressured him not to upload it, so Sunday covered it. Why was it bad for her? Uh-oh.
I didn't know that you were saying that Xander Hall deserved his financial trouble.
You become a little bit racist if an ethnic minority is among us.
Pointless discourse we've engaged in.
Do you know how many stupid trans people there are? Do you know how many trans people
Karl
there are?
Max compared they fab to saying the N-word in this conversation.
So the problem, why are you deflecting?
No, this is the problem, you gaslighting piece of shit. You keep exaggerating your points on Twitter, and then when you get called out on it, you end up walking it back, being like, oh, I was just exaggerating.
Wait,
I was just rage baiting.
Do you want to get right into it then?
Okay, so I want to figure out what the context was in the first place. Why were you saying that people who say they fab should be with anvils?
Look, I said that an anvil should spawn 30 feet above their head. That doesn't mean they should be...
Oh, come on, we know what you mean by this.
Okay, I strongly dislike the term they fab because it serves the express purpose of reminding a trans person of their sex, right? Same way that you wouldn't refer to a trans woman who you disagree with as a she-mab, right? Like, that feels like a fucked up thing to do. Hence why I think that they fab is really fucked up. And therefore I feel like people who are using terms that have kind of the purpose of inducing dysphoria maybe should have an anvil fall on them, maybe, occasionally.
Wait. Then what's wrong with trans femme? What's wrong with trans? Why are those not bad? Okay.
Okay, so the first thing I would say on this is, how do you know that it's
Is she
being used
playing
to induce
Bloons
dysphoria?
Tower Defense?
In which context did you see the
Cringe.
term being used?
Well, I mean, the term itself is dysphoria-inducing, is it not? I mean, for lots of people who don't want to be reminded of their, like, birth sex, right? Is that not, like, is that not directly kind of doing that, being like, hey...
If you don't want someone to be reminded of the fact that they're trans, then you shouldn't ever use the term trans. Because is that not going to remind them that they're not the sex that they're presenting as? Oh, cool. It's not gonna let me.
Hey, reminder, you're different from the rest of everyone else, right?
Like, for some people, I could see this, but that's making the assumption that you're talking about someone who experiences dysphoria in the first place. And when that argument, like, when that term is being used, it's usually being used to refer to non-binary people who aren't trans. They're not going through a medical transition. They don't feel dysphoria.
Wow.
I think that reminding them of their birth sex when they identify as non-binary is still... I mean, you can call it non-binary phobic if you don't want to call it transphobic, but that's still a shitty, awful thing to do. And also, the argument about dysphoria, and if it's okay to then insult people because they're non-dysphoric or whatever, is kind of bullshit, because every time I see that being invoked, it's against people who haven't made it clear if they do or don't experience dysphoria. It's mainly just used against people who are gender non-conforming and don't look like the gender that they're transitioning to according to, like, conventional societal standards.
See, I feel like you're missing, like, the core of this issue. The reason why people use it as an insult in the first place. Like, the only times I've seen people use the term
okay, we're looking for a wormhole here.
Non-binary people who were assigned female at birth who were doing
Wormhole, not zigzagoon. Fuck!
Or the non-binary person who was assigned female at birth who was saying that my dog hates AMABs, which both of these things are blatantly transphobic.
I mean, yeah, those things are retarded, right? But that doesn't mean that you have then a right to try and go out of your way to remind somebody of their, like, birth sex for no reason. Why not just say that they're transmisogynist or something, right? Like, there's just bioessentialism. Why not call them out for that, rather than, like, going for an insult which, like, directly has the express purpose of trying to remind them of their birth sex?
I think the reason why is that it is such a common pattern of behavior that people coined a term to reference it. And at the point when they're doing shit like that, I don't see why they deserve that respect.
Do you think that the majority of the times it's used is actually used like that? Like, because I don't know anybody who defines it the way that you are. And I also don't understand the point of insulting people who are even non-dysphoric, really, right? Like, if that is the case, who gives a shit? Why bother? Why like, go after them and try and be like, actually, you're not
That's
valid,
why I asked...
right?
That's why I asked at the start of this. I was like, what was the context it was being used? Because, like, removing it from the context in which people are mad, I totally understand why it's a shitty term. But I feel like if you're talking about it in the context that I've seen it, it just feels like tone policing a marginalized group expressing frustration at a common behavior that they see in other people.
Would you say it would be okay to call, like, a trans woman who's got annoying opinions on trans stuff a she-mab? Yeah.
How is that actually relevant to it?
Well, because it's a direct comparison. That would, like, apply to trans women.
It's not. I'm asking you what the context is in the first place that people are using it.
Okay, what is like a character that sacrificed themselves for everyone else? Because that's the only reason I would ever use this zigzagoon, is just to, like, send it out to die so that someone else can live. Vegeta? Oh shit. I was thinking Jesus, but I felt like that was just a little bit too that was a little too on the nose. Okay, we're naming the zigzagoon Vegeta. Watch Vegeta actually own. Vegeta's actually gonna own so fucking hard, guys. I don't know if I can make it through this debate. We're only 5 minutes in. It just feels like there's no reason for anyone to be upset about the term they fab. For at least for the reasons that Karl Marx is listing, right? Because if the concern is, oh well, you're reminding people that they're not the birth sex that they want to be or whatever, then why would you ever refer to someone as trans? People are mad about tomboy? Why? Like, actually, why?
Well, I mean, I made that clear, right? The context that people are using it in is to invalidate people who they perceive as non-dysphoric and to insult them.
No, I'm talking about a specific situation in which you've seen it being used. Like, when was someone called a they-fab? What was the context that led you to say that in the first place?
Well, I've got several friends who are trans masks and have been insulted over not being gender conforming enough and have been called they-fabs.
See, I agree with you.
Why is trans mask not reminding them that they are trans? It's literally just a term. Because if you are trans masked, that means you're transitioning to a masculine gender, meaning that you were a woman beforehand, trans mask. Except for they fab would mean that you're a non-binary masculine person. Yes? No? What the fuck is the argument?
Then why are you trying to debate me over this?
Well, am I trying to
the
debate
majority
you
of
because
people-
because I've
majority of
seen people that I would describe as they fab and I don't have
But
sympathy.
why would you describe them as that? Why not just use a different term which isn't like so inflammatory and also like so drenched in like transmed bullshit as well? Like, do you want to be like associated with that crowd?
No.
Also, the argument, oh, well, why would you use this term? Even if it's let's remove all of the like negative connotations from it, except for the people that use it. Bad people use this word, so would you not be considered a bad person if you use this term too? Like, bro, give me that free potion. Okay, I need some more Pokeballs. Maybe they don't want to be mask or femme because of being non-binary. Okay, well, at that point, I become transmedicalist because you're going to be on some spectrum between masculinity and femininity. All right, like you're not going to avoid that.
Oh, I feel like it's weird to even say that I'm associated with that crowd when I made it pretty clear that I hate that crowd.
Yeah, but who else uses that term? Like, actually, like I do not see. Literally,
I've seen a
I
lot
think
of
you've
trans
got-
women use that term specifically to talk about their experiences of transphobia from people who are non-binary.
I don't see why they would have to use that term, or why you'd then be like, okay, well that's all right. Is it? I mean, again, is it okay to use the say like she-map against a trans woman who's being
Are you
shitty
saying
to you or has
she-map or
shitty
she-map? What is she-map?
she-map? It's
She-map?
a direct. Yeah, it's a direct.
I've never heard this term before.
I know, I made it up. It's so you can
Wait,
see.
so
the
wait, so
comparison.
you just made this up for the point of an
Yeah,
argument?
it's like
See,
if-
that's
if-
the
if-
problem.
if-
It's like I don't think
That's
you're...
not an argument, Careful. If you have they fab and you're saying that that's okay to do because it targets this group who you perceive to be invalid, why can't we flip that around and say that you could do the same thing to trans women?
Because I want to talk about actual arguments in the context in which these happen, and I don't want to talk about
This is a
theoretical
hypothetical,
things.
though. It's a very valid comparison.
I don't think it's valid. Like I asked at the very start of the
Wait, would you or would you not think it's okay to?
I asked at the very start of the conversation, what was the context that made you say that? Was there a situation that came up? I
Every
feel like
time
right
I've
out
seen
of
it
the
used,
gate.
it's been employed in a shitty
When
way.
did you see it used? That's what I was asking. I was trying to understand
like
the context.
several times with like trans mask friends of mine, several times with arguing with trans meds, like pretty much every time I've argued with trans meds, they've used it. I don't understand. I don't like why not just tell people to use a different term which isn't like set out to try and like remind people of their assigned gender at birth? Why is that the approach here? Why is that necessary?
See,
What
in
does that do?
in the context that you're mentioning it, I agree. That's shitty. But I don't think that it's okay to tone police people who are upset when it is very obvious that they're being targeted by a specific group. It's
Would
like-
it be okay to call a trans woman a she-mab if she was shitty about your gender?
That's missing the context.
This is a
No,
fucking
it's missing the
basic
context.
comparison.
It's not a
What do
basic
you mean it's missing the
comparison.
context?
Okay,
How
now
is
we
it
got
not
a
the
word.
context you
Fuck.
need?
Call them. You just made up the term she-map. It's just
Yeah, who
divorced
cares?
from the reality. Yeah, I care because
No,
it's
it's a
divorced from
direct
reality.
fucking. Wait, how do you not recognize how she-map is analogous to they-fab? It's literally analogous. It's literally how do you see that, right?
How is it analogous? Give me the context in which it's being
What?
used.
Well, the pronoun they're using is they, and the pronoun trans woman would be using is she. The assigned gender at birth is afab, and therefore they-fab. The assigned gender at birth for a trans woman is amab, and therefore she-mab, right? That's what it would then become, right? That's the comparison I'm making here.
The problem that I'm having with this is that she-map doesn't
Would it be
mean anything.
transphobic if I named the
What do you
wormhole
mean?
she
Because it's a
lab?
term that you created. It doesn't mean anything.
On all terms created,
No, you literally just made
does
it up.
they-fab always exist?
It's been a term for a while. Like there are
Okay,
definitely different.
Oh my god, guys, this is so fucking retarded. Hold on. Do that. Say that dumb shit again. This is a painful debate.
Because
How
it's a
does-
term that you created. It doesn't mean anything.
On all terms created,
No, you literally just made
does
it up.
they-fab always exist?
It's been a term for a while. Like there are
Okay,
definitely
but it
different
wasn't a
contexts in
term
which
at
that
some
people
point,
use
right?
it.
I don't see how this matters.
Oh man. Well, aren't all terms created? So, like the point is that you created a term in order to like fight about something that you are saying is bad, but in order to say that it's bad, it's like contextual, and we have no what was it, she-fab? I probably shouldn't do it. I probably shouldn't do it. Someone give me some wormhole name ideas. The idea that you're going to create a word and then say that the context that these things are used in is always bad, right? Well, if you're going to create a term and then say that the entire, like every context that this is used is always bad, well, then she's necessarily going to have to agree that, yeah, that word is bad then, right? But she's saying that they fab is not always bad and that it's contextual depending on how you're using it, who's using it, and why. So if you're going to say, okay, well, here's term X, it's always bad, your term is exactly the same as mine. Well, no, she's saying that it's different because there are different contexts that you can use.
Matters. I don't think that matters at all. Why can't you engage with a hypothetical? Why would it or would it not be okay to call it?
Because I think that the history of the term matters in the context of the discussion.
Okay, what history are we?
That's why because I feel like this conversation got way too aggressive right out of the gate when I was trying to ask the context. Like I thought there was a situation that led to this, but it seems like there wasn't.
It's just every time I've seen that used, I do not see like people who are good faith and kind and actually not trying to like go in and invalidate someone's gender using that term. I don't understand in which argument it would be necessary to suddenly start trying to invalidate somebody's identity. Like you can say so many things.
You could just say, oh, well, if that's the case, then that's your experience, but that's not my experience. All right. My experience is not seeing people use this in a exclusively derogatory term. If that's your experience, well, okay, gotcha. I understand that's your experience. But in my experience, not everyone uses this as a derogatory term. Which I've literally never seen it used in an explicitly derogatory way. Like, I don't know. Are there any hidden items in the town? No, I guess not.
You can insult people in so many ways. You can explain in a billion different ways how they're stupid and wrong. I don't understand why you have to then bring their fucking assigned gender at birth into it. It just feels weird and fucked up and unnecessary.
I'll agree with you on that. I mean, I don't think that in the context I've seen the term used, it's fucked up, but it feels like it seems pretty fucked up in the way that you've described it being used. And I think that the problem is that we're coming from this from two different angles.
But I think that the way that I'm describing it being used is the standard way. If we look at like the Urban Dictionary definition, all of them are describing what I'm talking about. None of them are talking about the thing that you suggested.
Yes. I've heard of, you know what? I've heard of people appealing to the dictionary definition on some things. And you know what? A lot of people rightly point out that that's fucking retarded. You know what? Actually, run. Everyone always rightfully points out that using the dictionary definition of something is fucking stupid because we're talking about, you know, concepts rather than just like specifically this one like use case of the word, right? So now we're going to appeal to an even less credible dictionary? Okay.
And I tuned in for a moment at the start of your stream where you defined it as like a non-binary AFAB person who's got like shitty views on trans stuff or something like that, right? Which is just not the case. It's just about
the only time I've ever
insulting
seen
people
it
who perceive to not
used is
be
when
valid.
people. The only time I've ever seen it used is when trans women were venting about discriminatory behavior.
Dude, you have not seen like so much. Then there is every time I've seen like maybe not every time. 99% of the times I've seen that term used, it is with the express purpose of invalidating some non-binary.
So wait, was this about? Someone was suggesting. Was this about the now deleted Twitter thread about someone asking if a queer event was they fab or tranny being told it was a queer event only for them to show up and it was they fab?
Not really. I mean, that tweet is like that tweet's like neither here nor there. I thought it was like kind of stupid, and I feel like the terms there could be interchangeable with.
Oh wait,
like,
I'm on
trans and trans.
I'm on Twitch. I just realized I'm also on Twitch. I can't say that.
Oh shit! Wait, what can't we say?
We can't say the word that I just said, so I'm gonna go ahead and delete that VOD.
Oh yeah, okay.
Can we start this over? Because I honestly think that this got way too hot out of the gate, and I didn't expect this to be blood sports. And now I feel like
no, it's okay. I'm sorry. No, this is just.
I feel like I got put into a really defensive position when I didn't understand the context in the first place.
I get you. No, this is also where I was confused. I don't see you as being someone who would really have odd opinions on this, so I do think it's genuinely just you not being informed about it. But I swear, if you look up the term on Twitter,
okay, I'm actually gonna do that because I want to see if I'm wrong on this. Because yeah,
I really think you are. I think you're like misled on this. I get it, and I've seen trans women using it like that, but I think it's a term that they shouldn't be using either. I don't think anyone should be unnecessarily trying to remind everyone about their fucking assigned gender at birth, right? Like, why can't we should just be able to avoid that? Even if you are venting, even if you are getting angry, it is.
And at that point, why are you getting to choose what trans people get to say and what terms they get to say? Like, you didn't get mad when she said the T slur, okay? When she said that, You didn't, there was no, visceral response, but for some reason you have a visceral response to they fab? Bro. Become an adult. Log off of the internet. Get a life.
It's basically kind of just transphobia to be like, actually, you're not actually the thing that you say you are. You are just still your assigned gender at birth, right? Because that's what that's saying, isn't it? It's kind of reducing someone to that in a way, right?
One sec.
Sorry, no worries. I can try and find some examples as well, but if you just go on any like gender non-conforming or even just not super masculine trans account and you like look up tweets adding them with like they fab, I'm sure you'll find something like that. It happens like all the fucking time to trans masc. Like you and to like then enable the term when it is just kind of designed to cause dysphoria is like fucked up, right?
So I'm looking it up. You got me curious now. The first thing was you posting that you're debating me on this.
Yeah.
And then the second
real
thing is
based.
someone saying they fab isn't a slur because they wouldn't get turned on if they got called it. And then a shit post. If you think they fab is a slur, maybe don't talk to trans women. People doing discourse about. Yeah, this is not revealing anything right now. I thought this would reveal more, but it didn't.
I'm not going to go ahead and like call out every like non-masculine trans masc I know who you can like look at like their experiences and you can talk to them, but I assure you that they have like dealt with a ton of shit using that term specifically. If you don't fucking believe me or whatever, that's fine, I guess. What's the point of using this term? And again, I am going to go back to the comparison I made before. And I really want you to answer this. Why would it be okay to call a trans woman a she-mab if she had shitty opinions on gender and fucking, I guess, was non-dysphoric or whatever the fuck? Would that be fine? Would that be okay? Or you perceive her to be non-dysphoric?
You can call me that if you want.
Okay. Would you be fine with other trans people, other people calling other trans women that?
See, I just don't want to even engage with the hypothetical because it's
come on.
I don't want to engage
that
with the hypothetical because I want to talk about terms that are actually in use in the community.
That's such bullshit.
That's
though.
not
Why
bullshit.
would you?
It's
That
not
is bullshit. It's
not
how is it not a
bullshit.
fucking analogous argument? How is it not
an
like
analogous argument.
directly
I don't
comparable?
Want, it's stupid. I don't want to engage.
How is it not serving
I
the
don't want to
exact
engage
same
with the
purpose that
hypothetical that you
they
just
fab
made
is?
up that has nothing to do with the community. Like I think that they.
What do you mean? how could it not be
Because
employed
obviously
in, like,
the answer is
serving
no,
exact
but we're
same
not
purpose?
talking about that issue.
Obviously the answer is no. What? What do you
Obviously
mean?
the
No, it's
answer is
not okay
no.
to use?
Don't call trans women.
Then why would you do that to fucking non-binary people? Why would that be okay then?
Wait, I'm sorry. What the fuck just happened in this conversation? Are they talking? Is she referring to the she-mab and he thinks that she's talking about they fab? Hold on. This conversation actually is like, because again, he's bringing into this a hypothetical that he's saying, in my hypothetical, this word is always bad. In this hypothetical, this word is always bad. And she's saying, well, okay, in that case, then yeah, it's bad. But we're talking about they fab, which she doesn't agree is always bad. So why is this analogous at all? This actually is so much cancer. I can't believe it.
How is it not an analogous
I can feel the tumor
argument?
growing.
How is
It's
it
not
not
an analogous
like
argument.
directly
I don't
comparable?
It's stupid. I don't want to engage.
It's
how
not
is it not
directly
serving
comparable because one is actually in use and the other one isn't. And in the hypothetical word that you've made up, it's always bad. So she has to necessarily say, she has to concede her entire argument in order to engage with the hypothetical. But the hypothetical does not track. So therefore, she shouldn't either have to, on one hand, she doesn't have to engage with the hypothetical because she doesn't think that it's analogous. And number two, I just, do we continue? We're only 16 minutes into it.
I want to
Exact
engage
same
with a
purpose that
hypothetical that you
they
just
fab
made
is.
up that has nothing to do with the community. Like I think that they.
What do you mean? How could it not be employed?
Because obviously the answer is no, but we're not talking about that issue.
Yeah.
Obviously the answer is no. What? What do you
Obviously
mean?
the
No, it's not
answer is
okay
no.
to use?
Don't call trans women.
Then why would you do that to non-binary people? Why would that be okay then?
Why would that be okay? In the context that I saw it, I understand.
Okay. I understand his argument now. Let me think about this. Does anybody know? Hold on. Maybe I have to, well, the only trans people I could message right now would be, all trans meds. Sleepy or Cactus? Well, that kind of crew, yeah. Like,
Obviously the answer is no. What? What do you
Obviously
mean?
the
No, it's
answer
not
is
okay
no.
to use?
Don't call trans women.
is there another term for they thems that is like equivalent to like trans masc or trans femme? Because I don't even think all trans people agree that I don't think all trans people agree that non-binary equals trans. And I'm not even talking about trans medicalists. NB? Here's my question. Why would he be okay? Why would he be okay with trans masc or trans femme, but not they fab?
Then why would you do that to non-binary people? Why would that be okay then?
Why would that be okay? In the context that I saw it, I understand why people are frustrated. I don't think that
I mean, it's still practically
I feel like
misgendering,
tone
though, isn't
policing
it?
trans women is shitty.
I
think
don't
that they're
give a
allowed
fuck.
to be
I think you should
frustrated.
tone police people who are practically misgendering all the time. That.
Misgendering
I'd
all
say
the
that-
time. See, we're talking about different things entirely.
Okay, look, if you're going to reduce someone to their birth sex, that is to me equivalent to misgendering. I don't give a shit. You're saying that they are not
I
what
was
they
so expecting this
identify
to be
as.
more chill. I'm very confused.
It's frustrating because I just see it be used in such an awful way.
That's why I was asking you for the context in which it was used.
But I explained it, and you
didn't
continue to
show me
defend
any
it.
context.
I mean, I can send you some stuff later, but I don't want to put someone on blast here. You know, do you think I'm lying about it?
I don't think that you're. I don't
Wait,
think that you're. What?
Do you want to look through the dictionary definitions of it? Because I assure you, nobody's using it like the way that you think it's used. So go on Urban Dictionary
Yes, they
and look
are,
at
because
and see what comes up.
that's the
'Cause
only way I've
it's
ever
not-
seen it used.
Wait,
It's
how
not
many-
describing, huh?
How many trans women are you close friends with?
Oh shit, she's going for the chaser.
Tons
Yeah,
of them.
I've got lots of trans women friends. I'm a Vorshite, and I like I'm very much I know tons of trans people. I know it's okay.
She's going for the
I
chaser angle.
still tell someone, regardless of their gender identity, cis, trans, or otherwise, to not
How many trans friends do you have? Suspicious much.
make an insult that harkens back to someone's assigned gender at birth unnecessarily. I think that's just kind of like.
Wait, is this like
it's
trans?
kind of
Damn it, this
stepping
is
too far.
Pokemon I
Am
wanted here.
I doing this? Is this like some weird trans incel shit that I'm just like unaware of? Is that
What
why?
are you talking about? Would it be
Like,
okay
no,
to,
no,
like-
not you. Stop being defensive. I was asking if the term itself. I'm not trying to attack
Sorry.
you.
Excuse me. I'm sorry. What were you saying?
I was asking if there's like context I'm missing here, because like I
What
legit
do you
the only
mean? What do
times
you-
I've seen this term used in tweets that get big, it's literally people who are
Wait,
being
do you
real.
want to look at you know Cactus, right? The random
Oh
piece
yeah,
of
no,
shit on
Cactus is
Twitter?
a piece of shit.
Go on Cactus's account. Look up
Oh, poor
Dayfab.
Cactus.
Oh my god. Yeah,
Do you think she's going to be using it to vent about every personal experience she's had
No,
and
but-
being invalidated by a trans mask?
I feel like using Cactus specifically is bad because everything.
Look at
that
any
she
of her
tweets-
friends. Look
she's
at any of the
literally the
general
worst
trans med
person.
community. Okay, yeah, but I'm using. Well, you wanted examples, right? Obviously, that's going to be a strong one. But if you look at
I guess
any
the
of
reason
Oh,
that
shit,
this
we
got
have
so
to figure out
confusing
what
to me is that I
select
thought that
is.
there was a context in which you tweeted it, like a greater discourse that was currently happening. And I
Well,
thought,
I mean, it's just the term itself existing. Just why would we use that? Why have to invoke that? Why permit that and why defend that?
In the
What's the
context in
service?
which-
What does it do?
in the context in which you brought it up, I totally disagree with the term. Yeah.
Okay, but why? Okay, so do we have to keep on using the term then if that's how it's often or I would say primarily used? Would you not want to just maybe select different terms if you want to vent about a
See,
non-binary?
I think this is where the confusion came up, because you're saying
Hmm.
that it's primarily used as a way to just attack non-binary people. And I think that the amount
Isn't
of
that the
times I've
direct
seen
purpose?
I think that the amount of times I've seen it used has
Ah.
actually just been pretty limited. And in the situations, the person was so shitty that I didn't feel like tone policing them on it.
Okay, so if someone's really shitty, we can just go after their identity regardless of what it is? Where's the line on that then?
Where's the line on that?
Well, yeah, because I mean, if you're saying it's okay to basically try and use an insult that's could risk inducing dysphoria, what else can you say? How far can you go? Is this same thing true for other groups? Can you become a little bit racist if an ethnic minority is annoying enough? It feels like
Yes.
you're permitting just a degree
I mean, no.
degree of discrimination on the basis of someone being annoying and retarded, which I understand as an urge, but I think that's, as a principle, really
I
not
feel like
good.
if we're going to get into tone policing and woke scolding, it feels really weird to use the term retarded in the same conversation. Don't you agree?
I mean, I don't really care. I'm disabled. I can
Fucking
use
true.
that. I can say that if I want to say that.
But that would apply to yourself, but you were using it on other people.
It's
yeah,
very
I would-
well known to be that.
I would agree with you. That's
You
why
said
I
you
don't
don't
use
see
the
they
term
fab
they
used. Okay.
I never have.
Did I just skip
I
somewhere?
okay, but okay. So if we agree, Shemab is known to be that.
I would agree with you. Other people.
Okay. I mean, I don't really see the issue here. I'm using it to describe something in a way that's very clear to me. I don't. The principle really.
Because you're saying that it's primarily used as a way to just attack non-binary people.
If you
fuck.
want to vent about a
See, I
non-binary.
think this is where the confusion came up. Because you're saying that it's primarily used as a way to just attack non-binary people. And I think that the amount
Isn't
of
that the
times I've
direct
seen
purpose?
I think that the amount of times I've seen it used has
Sure,
actually just been pretty
transcript.
limited. And in the situations, the person was
Control
so
F,
shitty.
retarded.
I didn't feel like tone policing them on it.
Okay, so if someone's really shitty, we can just go after their identity regardless of what it is? Where's the line on that then?
Where's the line on that?
Well, yeah, because I mean, if you're saying that it's okay to basically try and use an insult that's like could risk inducing dysphoria, what else can you say?
Okay,
Really weird
this is
to
where
use
we were.
the term retarded in the same conversation. Don't you agree?
I mean, I don't really care. I'm disabled. I can use that. I can say that if I want to say that.
But that would apply to yourself, but you were using it on
Can you save this stream in the VOD section? Yeah. Does it not do all of my VODs not automatically save into my VOD playlist?
other people.
Okay. I mean, I don't really see the issue here. I'm using it to describe something in a way that's very clear to me, and is commonly used that way among my peers. It's
yeah,
very
I would
well known to be that.
Also, why?
I would agree with you. That's
You
why
said
I
you
don't
don't
use
see
the
they
term
fab
they fab.
used. Okay.
I never have.
So, I just okay, but okay. So if we agree Shemab is bad, can we agree that they fab is probably bad and unnecessary and avoidable?
Yeah.
Aced.
There you
Okay.
go.
W. Then we shouldn't be. Then I should be fine to say I want people to have anvils fall on their head. I'm just saying I want
No,
it. Obviously, I'm not going to do it.
I mean, the fact that it's a term that comes from the trans community, and that you say that if someone uses this term,
What I don't understand is why is it the biggest crusaders on language around trans people are cis people? I have never, ever heard a trans person complain about the term they fab. This is literally the first I've ever. I'm actually a little taken aback. I have no clue where this idea that it's a derogatory term came from. I've literally never heard that in my life. 1 second. Yo. Is the term they fab bad? I'm messaging people. I actually want to know. Where the is this guy getting this? I always hate conversations that are just like the language police. Like that shit always bugs the out of me. But like, it's extra ironic when it's the people that are like, oh, well, we have to listen to, we have to listen to the people who are part of that community, unless they disagree with me, in which case they're just, not one of the good ones, right? Like, who cares where they get it? Even if it's a slur, who cares? I mean, yeah. Okay, will this guy just not get poisoned? Got it. I just want this guy to evolve. Oh, wait, hold on. How do I ensure that I get a Cascoon and not a Silcoon? 1 second. Editor, if you're going to cut this up, cut this out. Cascoon. Cascoon. Personality value starting at level 7. How do I know? Wait, why did they take away his spikes? Now he just looks goofy without the spikes. Why would you do that to the dude? How are you supposed to know how to evolve it into the... What determines silicon... Wurmple evolves into solely on its personality value when you hatch the Wurmple. Oh. Basically, it's random. Damn it. I thought that it had something to do with like its attack and defense being higher or lower. Me.
You want them to die, that's up.
Let's hope for a...
What do you mean? There are so many
Cascoon.
fucking awful terms that's born from the trans community, which are terrible to say. Why would you then be like, oh, that's holy, it came from 4chan? Like, really? That's not an approach, I don't think.
So you think that a term that comes from a marginalized community that doesn't belong to you, you can be the arbiter of that community.
This is
and
some
those
id-pol
terms.
bullshit.
How is that
This
id-pol
What is
bullshit?
this? What are you?
Because there are plenty of trans people who
How are
agree
you
with me.
going
There
to
are plenty
make
of
the
trans people who
fucking...
agree.
Oh, this is some id-pol bullshit. You're the one that's coming in here woke scolding over language for a community that is not your community. How are you going to be the one... Oh no. How are you going to use id-pol on me? The entire conversation is about identity politics. This is so retarded. I had a little bit more respect for this guy before this conversation because it seemed like this is my impression of the Karl Marx guy based off of the one thing that I've seen him on, right? I saw about 80% of his conversation with Dev, food, he was on Food Shops. What the f- is his name? SFO, Short Fat Otaku. I saw him talk to Short Fat Otaku, and he reminds me a lot of how of like my political beginnings when I was streaming, right? Very socialist, very like chill and, you know, positive vibes. Oh, speaking of Food Shops, hey, Food Shops. Guess what we're watching next? Anyways, like he just reminds me a lot of, or reminded me, I don't think I would ever fight with someone on gay terminology like this shit, you know? I'm out, LOL. All right, well, why? Hold on, I'll shoot a DM and ask why. Is it that bad? You're unknowingly being a dickhead? Okay. Anyways, so moving back to this, like he reminded me of me when I first started streaming. Very socialist, you know, all vibes, you know, this is a cozy place, which is like the absolute disgusting most, like I would rather die than be like the comfy streamer where everyone comes and nobody's ever you know, challenged on anything. Like I hate the idea of it now. But let's see if we can kill this loser and level up and become a Cascoon. Damn it. But now he's like the woke scold, where he's trying to be leftier than thou, right? And the way that I approach these things in the past was I either A, didn't care, or I just like didn't engage with it because I didn't care all that much, right? It really was just not that important. Like you don't have to fight people about the language that they use, right? I might have argued with people about okay, everyone pray for Cascoon, not Silcoon. Everyone pray for Cascoon. Ah, thank God. So anyways, yeah, like you don't have to engage on it. And it's usually just like not that interesting of a conversation. It just comes off as like I'm leftier than you. I am, I'm better, I'm more part of the in crowd of the left, and therefore, like people should respect me more, right? Like it's a little bit different if someone's like going around saying the N-word, and like depending on why they're saying the N-word, like if they're just like a white dude and they're ignorant and they're stupid, like, hey buddy, listen, I don't know if you know how this might affect other people around you, but you should think about that, like that's something that you can say without it being like super cringe, right? Like, hey, like number one, this might be like bad for future employment prospects. Number two, like if you have a black friend and or if you like meet a black person and then like you casually drop this, they might look at you super sideways, right? Like you're not always going to be the cool white dude, right? In your friend group, you might accidentally drop that shit around someone else, right? Like it's probably just like something that you should avoid. I'm not gonna like sit here and shit on you and say that you're like an ultra racist over it, but like there's like things to consider when you're talking about using the N-word. This is so much different though. Who is Joe? Joe Mama. Base. The Council of the Boys. You know what? I'm down for it.
I get it. You have.
Oh, 1 second. Let me comb through chat really quick. Sanso unknowingly being a dickhead. This is me being nice. Everyone told Food to stop talking about this, and the drama will end in like a week or two. So Food is going to try and do that starting like a day or two ago, because no one wants to be known as the Mr. Girl forever. It isn't them problem. They're going to disengage. It's just me saying why they're immediately running for the hills, and if Sanso wants to be polite, why isn't he being polite? Okay, well, I thought that... Listen, Dev told food shops from the start, like, do we need to go over the part of the food shop's manifesto stream where she told, or where Dev told her, hey, you should just like never talk about this again after this stream? And then how many days? Wait, you can get a C dot? Oh, I'm playing Emerald, of course, right? There are also dumbass 20-year-old and 20-year-olds do stupid things. I think she's old enough to know that. Okay, I think she's old enough to know that that's not the this isn't the way to engage. But she like carried on for like a week and a half, 2 weeks with it. So I didn't know that she was like actually going to disengage. I'm also not telling you not to watch that shit. You should watch it still. Okay, well, let's get through as much of this as we can handle, and then we'll consider it.
You'd be like, actually,
I just don't understand how this like.
this is a weird optical move.
How is it a weird optical move?
I asked ChatGPT.
It is a weird optical move. You're trying to attack me saying that I know people who agree with me, because you're trying to imply that I don't know anybody who actually thinks this way.
Oh, antenna cactus in chat. Cactus, you were catching some strays in this conversation, bro. Bro, you were catching some strays in this conversation, unwarranted a little bit, halfway warranted. You're a little aggressive on social media. But I didn't even know that they fab was a bad term. I've never heard anyone say that until this conversation.
Trying to imply that I actually haven't spoken to enough trans people to understand why it might be okay that this term gets used, aren't you?
I just don't know why you're being so defensive on this.
I'm not being. I'm being pretty straightforward, and you keep on dodging shit. I feel like I don't know. I did I not? Is it not like? I don't know. I mean, you agreed with me that we shouldn't use it, and yet like this entire conversation, you've been defending it. Like, what's your actual position here? Is it not just so yeah? But we agree. It's a term that should be avoided, and we shouldn't use it. And if somebody is shitty to you,
I mean, yeah, in the
use
context in which
term
this came up in the first place, you were saying that people who say this word deserve to.
Well, oh my god, it's a tweet, Caffles. Like, really?
Well, that was the context of the conversation.
Okay. I mean, I was making a joke about anvils falling on people's heads. Like, really. I was saying that I think it's annoying and shitty when people do that. Okay? I was putting in a creative and humorous way. I don't actually believe, shockingly, that people should have anvils fall on their head if they use a shitty term.
So how do I know when you aren't serious? If you say something and then it's a joke.
I'm sorry, do you read a tweet where I say every time someone uses the term they fab, an anvil should spawn in 30 meters above their head and go, oh no, they're gonna do it? Like,
Well, I mean, you
really?
could have just said that it's shitty and no one should say the term, but you specifically
Yeah,
said
everyone would
that.
love that. That would be really funny. That would do really well. That would do great on Twitter. Everyone loves when you make a blank statement and you don't, like, add anything to it.
Oh, so wait, you were rage baiting.
I mean, no, I was making a point about how I'm annoyed by people who use that term, and I was doing so in a way I found funny. I mean, sure, you can say I was rage baiting. I mean, my tweets are generally kind of provocative, right, to people who disagree with me. If that's how you want to define it. But I was just saying my opinion, really.
Yeah, this is all like really. I don't even know where to go from here in the conversation. Hey, I think I misinterpreted where this was coming from. I thought there was a situation that was happening that provoked this, and you were subtweeting. I didn't know that it was just provocative tweet.
Well, no, a situation, it's an ongoing situation of that being used to discriminate against trans masks for ages. I would say that's a situation.
I've
It's just
never
not a
heard
very
the term-
specific one.
And see, I think that's the problem as well, the difference in our experience. I've never heard that term used to talk about trans masks.
Look, hey,
I would think that's
later.
And is they mab different? Is that like, again, like antenna cactus? Do you use they fab exclusively to be derogatory? Well, actually, hold on. Let me let me. You're probably the worst person to ask this. Jesus Christ. Just stacking the slurs. Like, again, like, I'm sorry, but this is such a this is just like woke scold conversation. Like, I don't know. Like, it's not even entertaining, really. Except for the fact that, like, I know some of the people that are being listed off. Like, that's literally it.
Incredibly shitty. That's why I was so confused.
I'm
when
really
immediately
baffled by this. Look, later when you're done streaming, I will go through and I'll send you some examples from people I know. Later, I can send you examples of people
Wait, was that a
being
cut?
called they fab in a derogatory manner solely for existing as a trans mask person. I can send you plenty of examples. I can send you tons of. I can send you examples of people being called they fab in a derogatory manner solely for existing as a trans mask person. I can send you plenty of examples. I can send you tons upon.
You can find a million examples of people just using trans as a slur. All the conservatives who are just like, call everyone like, you know, like, look at all these transes, look at all these trans, you know, like they don't, I don't think I've ever seen a conservative use trans in a non-derogatory way. So should we stop using trans?
Tons. Okay, but I'm not going to do that right now because I don't want to put people on blast. But if you don't believe me, I think that's really stupid. But I can like prove it to you later. But I'm not gonna. I first of all, I don't have a bunch like in the back.
Yeah, I think that at this point, I think I am closer to trans med than not. However, I don't think I'm as hardcore on that train as someone like Antenna Cactus. Now, I don't have too much disagreement with Cactus, right? But I might be a little bit looser with some of the terms because it feels like I'll give people some carve-outs for like certain extenuating circumstances, you know? But I think I'm probably fairly, I almost said transphobic. I'm not transphobic, but I'm probably transmedicalist a little bit, right? This is why we have issues with they fabs. What is it? Is this going to be... Wait, hold on. I see big naturals. I don't even know if I can show this on stream. Hold on. I don't think I can show that on stream. But it's basically someone who says how I look with he, him pronouns in my bio, and then big titties with very small micro bikini barely covering the nipples. I trans used to mean something. When someone said that they were trans, it used to mean like a specific thing. But now I think it's just like an amalgamation of anything that you want it to mean. Like I'm trying to word this in the most delicate way possible. Trans used to mean that you were someone who had like gender dysphoria, you had some disconnect between brain and body, right? You did something, whether it was a medical transition, if you were able to, if you were unable to, then it was at least like some amount of social transition. Actually, I would say that there's probably a level that you have to reach with the social transition. If you're unable to do medical transition, whether for monetary reasons or for, some other reason, like your family will literally like put you on a cross and crucify you in their front yard, right? Right? It's easy. There are gender abolitionists. Oh, you mean retards? Sorry. Apparently the guy debating Keffels is claiming to be non-binary now. Oh, of course. And in a year they'll come out as trans. Sorry, I'm being hateful at this point, but it's just like that's what trans used to mean. Like you were transitioning from one gender to another, right? But now trans just means like I don't conform to like the visual aspects of gender binariness, right? I'm a man and I dress a little bit femininely sometimes. So therefore, I am what? Like it doesn't feel like there's any actual like solid definition. It just feels like it's like all over the place, and it makes it impossible to explain to people what it means to be trans. When there's a million people who are like a part of like the trans activist crew who are like essentially muddying the waters. And I feel like if you're going to say that we can't like refer to someone as like a they, them, like assigned birth, like feminine or female or male, then we're just going to call everyone that isn't cis trans. But not all non-binary people identify as trans. So we can't call them trans, but non-binary is trans unless they say that they're not trans. It just doesn't make any sense. I just want there to be some sort of like concrete like definition, and it's not that hard. I have a hard time with Keffels. I don't think people make changes that fast. Here's the thing. I think that the change was from the performative socialist, getting attention form of Keffels and into like the more like real Keffels. But I guess if there's another heel turn in, a year or two, if there's another heel turn in a year or two, then, it's not Ruby, it's Emerald. Bitch. All right. Do you not see? I'm wearing a green headband, retard. Okay. But yeah, I would say that if someone's going to pivot from being a lefty to like, joking about their time on 4chan, that they're probably being more authentic than they were in the past, right? I would say that I would say that Keffels seems to be more authentic now than she was in the past. What's the difference? Number one, Emerald is the like definitive Gen 3 game. Number two, Ruby, all right? I had Sapphire as a kid. Number three, I think that the Emerald Nuzlocke are harder than Ruby and Sapphire, but I might be wrong on that.
Because I thought it was like known that it's used like that. And furthermore, I don't want to have like put people who I'm friends with and who are already getting enough shit on blast, right?
Mm-hmm. Right. Sorry, I was just like, I didn't know that you were saying that Xanderhall deserved his financial.
Wait. Honestly, if he's still having financial troubles despite the opportunity he has to make money, then it's kind of on him at that point. Oh, I want to see the context of that. Question, who cares? Am I right, chat? True. Kind of weird thing to say about someone who was financially abused and put into debt by his ex. Okay, I'm sorry. To Xanderhall is like giga retarded for that whole thing with his ex, okay? How does someone steal that much money from you and you not notice? Unless you just bought so much weed, okay? Unless you just bought so much weed that you could just see yourself spending that much money and being that poor all the time, I guess. Which isn't that far outside of how Xanderhall's life is. Men don't do finances? Okay. I'm sorry. Like, I have like next to zero sympathy for Xanderhall on that whole thing. Right? I feel bad that, you know, there was an older woman that was definitely taking advantage of him, right? He's a little retarded as a kid. You know, he's in his early 20s. That's the part where I can have a little bit of sympathy for him. But like the idea that you're going to lose that much money and, you know, you're going to have to like break your lease and she's like breaking in and she has a meth lab in your house and you don't even know it. Like all of that shit was so stupid. I'm sorry. Yeah, if he's still having financial troubles at this point, yeah, it is 1,000,000% on him. Like no shot can you blame it on anyone else.
Troubles?
Oh
Just
my
a random
god!
thing out of nowhere.
Really?
Yeah, my chat is drama frogging. I mean, that's shitty, but
This is
unrelated to
this is from the
conversation.
ad block drop.
Still hasn't shown proof of the meth lab. You know what? I'm inclined to believe it. Why am I inclined to believe it? Because it's really funny.
Drama,
ad block
where
drama.
the ad block drama, where he said that ad block being blocked on YouTube would be great. I made fun of him for it. He blocked me and everyone who liked my tweet. The context of that being said was that no, hold on. Let me explain the context.
No, you know what? I'm not going to
put that
explain
out
it.
there.
I think the problem is that you came from this like immediately off the bat. You've been bad faith.
Don't.
You have been bad faith
What
with
the fuck
me.
are you talking
I
about?
asked the
How the fuck have I
context
been bad
in which
faith?
this conversation was happening.
Sorry. Also, the finances thing was in response to me saying that if after a year of like him like trying and streaming and like selling merch and shit.
Hold on. Taking the femoid side? No, I don't think that what she said was truthful at all. I think that what Xanderhall said was probably the closest thing to the truth that we're ever going to get. And it's really funny. Okay?
That he should be able to make back like I think it was like 10 grand that he like lost or something. And I said that if he hadn't managed that, it would be shitty finances. And I tweeted at a time when I was being dogpiled and stuff. And it was like my first big drama. And it was obviously an exaggeratory tweet.
I think it's funny.
But you know, it happens, right? But yeah, no, I'm not saying that he deserved his financial troubles. That is an exaggeration.
I mean, you said if he's still having financial troubles despite the opportunity he has to make money, then it's kind of on him.
Oh, wait. Silly me thinking lefty content being available to as many people as possible is the goal and not individual React lords increasing their revenue. What was the original? Scroll up.
I mean, how much? I didn't know how much money he lost. It was an exaggeratory tweet made at a time when I was being dogpiled. It's interesting how you're deflecting. Why are you deflecting?
No, this is the problem. It's so bad.
Are you saying that I'm bad faith because I made a joke about anvils falling on people's head and I said it's
I'm
not
saying you're bad
serious?
faith because you say one thing and then when you get asked about it, you just walk it back. It is bad faith, and it's okay.
I'm not walking it back. I'm sorry. I think I'm making a very reasonable case for why I said that, and I'm explaining it in a pretty reasonable manner. Also, that tweet's from like 7 months ago. Like, really, get some new material. I'm sure I've said some fuck shit since then. Holy shit.
They're both
and I
right
don't
here.
think I've been that bad faith.
They are both right here. All right. Number one, yes, it is cringe that she is deflecting right now. All right, and he is also, every single time he says something on Twitter and she points it out, he walks it back. So they're both right here. They're both being cringe.